on for like a second. Hi, that wasn't enough time for me to do what I had to do.
No, it wasn't.
It really wasn't.
Everybody just hang tight. We're going to get our shit together.
Why I was doing that countdown was because I'm trying to share, because we are now sharing, okay, on a page to the WLFE network. So I just shared our feed over to there, and let me show you the picture. Right? So I just shared to this WLFE DV radio network page. So we're not streaming. We won't be able to comment, on anything that goes over there, but we are there. And we have a few things we want to mention tonight.
Uh-huh.
and and one is Mama D's network again is kind of wonky tonight. I don't know what it's a Canadian whatnot. I'm not sure. Okay, but if she blinks out, she's going to do her best to come back in. So if she does, we'll be like, "Love you. Come back as soon as you can," and we're just going to keep talking with Dr. Lin. Me and Dr. Lin will be talking. Because that's what we do.
And if I can't get back in, it'll be like the other week, and I'll just monitor from the chat room, and I'll just be putting links in and making my rude comments.
But let's hope she gets back, because I love my mama. The other thing is, if all of a sudden you hear a lot of banging going on, someone in my neighborhood has been lighting off fireworks outside. So it could sound like I'm in a war zone temporarily, but it's not. It's just fireworks. No worries. Okay. And what's the other thing? Oh, we had Para Unity last weekend, and they had the best. We had the best time. So they made this wonderful brochure, and I love this thing. It had a map of all the vendors and where all the exhibits were, all the rules and regulations. Then it had all the stars, little blurbs about all the stars that were there, all the ghost hunters, Ghost Nation, Amy, Adam, all the Ghost Brothers were there. All that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I just got to say that they were very lucky. I wasn't there, because I would have badgered them until they said yes to come onto our show.
Yeah, and then there were special guests. And who are these guys? Me and Bob made the brochure.
Look at those cheeks.
Right, we were in the brochure, and then they had some nice, about the New Jersey Paranormal team, which is this New Jersey Paranormal. They work with the county to put that on. Para Unity happens every year. Bigger, better every year. Best time like ever. Chris and John did a fabulous job. And hey, when we made the print, I didn't even know it. It's like,
okay, in case anybody didn't notice, they're now superstars. Okay, so we have to pay for their autographs. Not.
No, not. So
you asked to pay for Gina's autograph, she must have smacked you.
We sold a lot of equipment. We have very little left. We do have a few items left, though, that are ready to go. We have only three Cryptocords box. I think one of them is a Harry Potter box, a Doctor Who box. The Archangel Michael box was left. I think that might be, I'm not sure. I'll have to check. But, those are ready to go. So if anyone, because they were hot sellers, we sold, almost everybody that was there was selling out of stuff. There were thousands of people that went through. Just so well done. It was a great time. And I can't wait till next year. And I can't wait for us to do Penhurst Paragon, again. Yes, Mama? Or are you waiting?
No, I said hi. I'm waiting.
Oh, I'm like, all right, are you trying to get my attention? All right, what's the other thing? Oh, the post I put up today.
Yeah, the post, please. That's important.
This is. The reason why I put up this post was, okay, this younger guy, 42, 4 kids between the ages of 3 and 12 died from COVID. Okay. A lot of people say, oh, it's not real. It's not this. It's not that. You can hear it in my voice. My lungs are destroyed from COVID. COVID is very real, okay? And it just bothers me when people start degrading it, downing it, and everything. And all I did was put the post to just say, and I worded it appropriately. I thought about every word that I put on there. And I said, if you have not yet gotten vaccinated, please rethink it. Okay, rethink it. I didn't tell you to go get a shot. All I was asking was be mindful of the couples that are losing their spouses, the families that are losing their parents, God forbid a child, okay?
Yeah.
You're losing your mom, your dad, your loved ones, whoever you're losing. This is death, okay? This is a community and a world affair, right? All I was saying was just be mindful that, maybe just rethink the shot for someone else. Okay. Now the book we're going to do tonight, I'm going to show you a video, the bio intro for Dr. Lin. But she wrote this book, Beyond Lovelyville. And that post has a lot to do with this. This book is a community that works together to overcome negativity. But they have to work together in order to do this. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's traumas and everything that you go through in life. It's very appropriate for that book from what I was trying to get out into that post. So I think I've said everything that we need to say. Do you have anything else that
I think that no matter what we believe, okay, I believe, I had the COVID shots. I had COVID. I had the COVID shots. My husband's been vaccinated, fully vaccinated in this household because he has a compromised immune system. Or compromised. He's just compromised. He's married to me. Oh, by the way, he's married to me today.
33 years
today, and he's still alive. So am I. But I think everybody has to make their own decisions. There's the saying that's going out there: my life, my body, my choice, whatever. All the different things are. Yes, it is your choice. Yes, it is your body. When it is respect, you have to think about what's good for you, and whether or not it's good for other people. I don't give a flying frogs behind what you do, but if what you do interferes with okay, I'm just gonna shut up. But just
But you are
pay
okay.
attention.
You are valued. Your opinion is valued. My opinion is valued. But I'm not going to tell you what your opinion should be, and don't tell me what my opinion should be. But all I said was just be mindful.
And listen to what everybody has to say.
Yeah, think. Just think. Think about what we're going through and what needs to be done to fix it. Because the government doesn't have the answers. We don't have the answers. The doctors don't have the answers. The community has to come up with the answers, and that's the way it's going to be. But all right, I'm going to play now the video, the bio video, to tell you a little bit about Dr. Lin, and then we'll have her on.
She's an amazing lady. Just what I gotta say.
Yes, she is.
She is.
Good evening, I am Gina B, here with Mama D every Thursday evening from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time right here in the Fox Den. Tonight we have Dr. Lin Morel. She is a pioneer in connecting the dots between our spiritual nature and everyday life. A visionary thought leader, author, speaker, and facilitator, she has inspired thousands of people across the globe to step into the creative expression of their spiritual essence, purpose, and destiny. Like many of us, Dr. Lin is a survivor of multiple traumas. Her journey taught her that no matter what happens to us, we have a core of wisdom that will move us beyond our challenge into expansion, empowerment, and the ability to create lives better than we can imagine. With decades of experience, Dr. Lin supports her clients as they step into accelerated energetic transformational healing at the deepest levels. Feel free to join the Joy of Movement. Visit Positive Joy with Dr. Lin on her Facebook page. To learn more about Dr. Lin's services, visit www.drlinmorel.com, and we welcome you to the Fox Den.
And here she is. Welcome to the Fox Den, and I have to make my correction because the video says the joy of movement. Don't even know why I put that word of in there. It's not. It's a joy movement. And if you look at any one of her, let's see, I'm going to put this banner up here. Okay, all her links and all her things that you can find her. Hi, Sharon. Hi, Dave. Hi, Lisa, Debbie, Anna. Welcome, everybody. Please, we love you. Share the show. Share the show because
Yep.
this lovely lady, Dr.
It's
Lin,
important because she has an amazing message.
she does. And all these things that are behind her right now, she's in not her office, her friend's office. So we're not talking about colons. We're not talking about don't want to. All right, that is not going to be the topic of tonight. No, we're talking about her book, Beyond Lovelyville, and she's got actually another book as well, and that is, find all my pictures right here. So she's got Soul Lifts, from Bumps to Brilliance, and Beyond Lovelyville, and she's working on another one. So there's and. So we're going to talk about a lot of those things. Let me get this ticker off of here right now, and then we'll put that back up. Back to the comments. Okay, so here we go. So now let's start with you. Like that was like a small little introduction to you, but you do hold. I mean, even though we're not talking about the colon that's behind you, but what are your degrees and what do you have for degrees in what fields?
Oh, well, I have a master's in applied psychology, a master's in applied theology, and a doctorate in spiritual science. I've got credentials up the yin yang. I think the greatest credential I have is my experience and my connection to that core of wisdom, which has gotten me through every single thing that's happened and literally left me in joy with what could have been woes me and bitterness has been transformed to joy. A lot of work, but I'm so grateful. And I'm out of town, and that's why the reception is not really excellent where I was at. So my doctor friend said, come on down to my office. So that's where I'm at, her office rather than my home. And I would say that the credentials came as an afterthought, because the credential that saved my life in a very strange way was as a chubby 15-year-old kid that couldn't chew gum and walk a straight line, and a bookworm discovered martial arts. And I was literally forced to go with my younger sister to judo lessons, which she quit 3 months later. And my parents said, okay, you're done. And I said, no, I found something where I could excel. And in that coaching from the most extraordinary older man, he was a vaudevillian. He performed before the Queen. This is in the 60s. He nurtured me to a place where I had self-esteem. So in a sense, I had a spiritual father who just encouraged me and lifted me to the point where I had such confidence. I was teaching grown men 3 months into taking lessons. Wow. It was like a duck to water.
Yep, right. You found your niche and you were there.
And 57 years later.
What type of karate was it? Was it just like karate, jujitsu?
I started in judo in the 60s. It was Green Hornet and, the judo stuff. That was the only martial art. And my sister-in-law was going with my younger sister, and she bowed out, so I was the chaperone. I stayed with that through college. I ended up teaching a class in judo for credit. Then I met my first husband, who was the judo teacher at the karate school, and I started studying karate. And then eventually we got married, and then I started teaching Taekwondo, which is Korean karate. Blew out my knee and took up Tai Chi to rehab my knee. And throughout all of that, the theme has been you have to know yourself. You have to be able to sense things 360 degrees around you if you're to be an effective human being. Because if we expand our awareness, not only outwardly, but inwardly, then we have the greatest gift of all, is discernment and inner knowing. And that's been my journey. And the byproduct of wanting to know about my traumas, what made me tick, to excavate them, because a lot of them were repressed, was this great, like being a detective. So, and even now today, for a career as a trauma specialist, I help people uncover the clues to their joy.
Right. And that's honorable. It really is. But getting back to the judo and the martial arts, Tai Chi. I mean, that is more of energy manipulation.
Pure energy.
So that I think helped. I think you did it in the right procession. Like
Absolutely.
with that, and then you just culminate all this spirituality into everything that you're doing now.
And that's exactly accurate. When I blew my knee out, I took up Tai Chi as a way to rehab my knee. That led me to studying with someone who taught Shanghai Shek actually in World War II. And I got to be friends with him. And I went to Taiwan. I was a house student, so I studied like there. My Chinese was horrible, but I got along. I did study it. And then from there, I came back to the States and taught, wrote a Tai Chi book called Be Still as a Mountain for my students. And that going inward is the actual progression, because when you're young, you do the fiery stuff. Right. And as you mature, even as a martial artist in karate, by the time you're a 5th or 6th degree black belt, it's not about fighting, it's about peacemaking. You don't need to use your force.
Yeah.
And the funniest thing happened, which is in that regard, I was the chair of a nonprofit for domestic violence survivors using art. And I was on my way to a gala. And I thought, I'm going to get my nails done. What the heck? And as I walked down the staircase through the parking lot, I heard grunting, and I looked over the edge, and 2 men were strangling a man against the wall. And I asked inwardly, do I mask? No. And then I just went inside for the discernment without even thinking. I said, stop it. And the 2 men stopped. And then they were boxing sort of the 2 people against the 1 man who was a security guard. And then I said, what would your mother think?
I love that one.
It stopped and they ran away.
Right?
So that's a higher form of martial arts. You don't need violence. You need the energy.
Yeah, the same thing with the bully proofing you. You know what I mean? You humanize the situation. You get it down to a level that they're going to relate to, and make them feel like a human being. Basically. Yep. And it's like, would you want someone to do this to you?
Yeah.
So
just the mother button worked wonderfully. They ran to the parking lot.
Of course.
This older couple, very chubby. They were probably in their 60s. They started chasing these young men through the parking lot. I got 911. But it was the most precious example of how we're not helpless. No matter what's going on, we have inside of us that core of knowing that knows what to say, what to do, if we can get our thinking mind out of the way.
Right.
Oh, yes.
Yep. That's
Sometimes
it.
You just gotta do it.
Yep, we try to force everything. I want this. I want that. You be that stubborn brat. Oh, why can't I have that? I've worked so hard. I. You know what? The best time and the best things that come to people is when you stop doing that. You step back, then you'll get it. Then it will happen. And that's, when you get out of your own way, in other words, things will happen.
That is so true. So true, Gina. And the process is not a straight line.
No.
It's a meandering path with dead ends. And humans are here to make mistakes.
Right.
And I lived in the Hollywood area in Marina Del Rey for years. And, it's take 1, take 2, take 22. As humans, we have the luxury of exploring all the things that don't work and all the things that do work. And wisdom is having the wit to let go of the ones that don't. And even though you're not sure about the ones that work, it's like tentatively putting your foot on ice in the winter. You got to test it. And that's where wisdom comes from.
Yep. I love that. I really like that a lot. I just thought of something and it just was like, poof, poof, and gone. It was like along those lines too. It'll come to me. I'm sure it will come to me. But the chi work though, the energy work, I love how it is relatable to so many different aspects of everything. I use that energy work and I tell people to do this and to put their hands apart and to come in and where you feel that resistance, right? So like it's like forcing me way out here. You know what I mean? But you can, and you can press that ball in. And when you watch these chi masters doing their routines, and they do that, they take that energy ball and then they focus it and then they shoot it across a room, and a plant will move across the room from that chi energy. Energy is real. It can't,
Oh yeah.
We're all energy, and that's like the most important thing for us to understand. And it's the thing that's hardest to understand.
It is, because it's beyond the mind. I have a scientist friend named Stephen Cheminsky, and he used to say, energy is the currency of life.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it is. It's the essence of everything. And even if you go biblical for a second, in the beginning was the word. What is the word but a vibration? And everything vibrates. The table vibrates. It just appears to be solid. The air vibrates. Our breath vibrates. Everything vibrates. And as children, we know that. But through societal conditioning, no matter how well-meaning, children are taught to fear. They're taught fear. They're taught to shut down. Don't color that tree purple. Trees are green. But who's to say there aren't purple trees somewhere in the imagination? Why not? And so years ago, when I was in grad school, my God, it's a long time ago, there was a study done, I believe, at the University of Ohio. And they took 4-year-old children and they measured them. 97% of them tested as geniuses. They tracked those children until I believe they were 7, maybe a little older. And of those 97% genius level, only 3 or 4% were left at the genius level.
Yeah.
They had been socialized, institutionalized with thinking is like this, based on their parents and their environment and their culture. And so they lose that spark. The joy movement is when we connect to that inner child who's free, who's connected to something bigger than their mind, and the experiences that come forward when we can lay our thinking mind aside. It's good for scheduling, don't get me wrong, but that's about it. It's filled with information, because just because something was said when you were 10 doesn't mean it's true at 50.
Right.
No. Yeah. Right. And the thing is, children are born, humans are born with no thoughts of right or wrong. It's taught to them. So there's no difference to them, to a baby. When you're in what's it called? In French, the pouponnière. When babies are born and they put it into one giant room. What's the thing? I can't think of the word in English. Oh, at the hospitals, when all the babies are in the same room.
In the incubating room, the nursery,
yeah, the maternity ward. Okay.
Ward.
When they're in it, they don't know that the child beside them is black, white, yellow, or gay, straight, whatever. They just know that, hey, there's a little dude over there, a little girl over there, a little person over there, a little body making the same googly sounds as me.
Yeah.
It's not until they grow. Yeah. It's not until they grow and get taught. Okay, this is wrong. That's wrong.
I think instinctively we know right from wrong. We're instinctively born with the falciform part of our brain that's that pareidolia thing. That's why we, in the shadows, we try to form a face to something that we see. The paranormal pictures that people put up and they say, oh, that's a face. Well, yeah, because your brain, for safety's sake, is making you think that is a face because that's safe. Okay. Yeah. You form these things, and it's all a fear thing. It's protection. Animals have that too, instinctively.
Yes, but
so I think we have instinctive knowing right from wrong. Some people don't the psychopaths. There's something missing in their brain. There's something chemically off there. So I think they don't have it. But I think the majority of people do have it. But we are definitely taught intolerance. We are definitely taught all of that bigotry and racism and things like that. Because, inside, people are people. And we are all energy. And all our blood is red. Right? So,
that's very true.
It's just how are you gonna act? How are you gonna treat your fellow human being?
Yeah, and it's like Lynn said, Dr. Morel said, when what stopped these guys was, what would your mother think? That just it just sort of sends people without, like, where I used to work at at a convenience store in France, it's called Dépanneur. I can remember one time there was these kids, and they was cussing like nobody's business. I mean, they would put Gina to shame, okay, which is really bad. And I looked at them and I said, "Excuse me, do you kiss your mama with that mouth?" And it stopped them dead in their tracks. I was never one to shy away from being up and being boisterous about what I have to say, and they just sort of stopped. And I said, seriously, if your mom heard you talking like that, what do you think they would say? What do you think she would say? I was like, well, she'll never find out. I said, I'm a mom, and I found out a lot of things about my children, especially my boys.
We have eyes everywhere.
So we find out things without you even realizing it. And they were like, it had them stopping and thinking. So you never know, the strength that you have in strength in words. What would your mom think?
Yep, words of everything. But another one other point I just would like to point out: when we're born, that is when our brains are at its highest capacity. Okay, we can learn so much as a baby. We don't have speech. That's why they don't think babies learn. But it's proven. You can show them flashcards, you can show them pictures, all that kind of stuff. And the babies learn it like that. But, it's from that point, it's a peak brain functioning part of our life. And then it downgrades to getting to me going, duh, at 58. What we call them brain farts.
Yep. I had 2 of those lately.
But that's when it would be nice to know that you can count on your neighbors and stuff too to pick you up if you fall down.
Well, it does take a community, and the community, you have to choose wisely. The community, and they change as we mature. And as I grew in my awareness, friends that I thought would be friends forever would drift away. And I had a friend. Jamie Sanders once said to me, when they drift away and they're your friends, they'll come back.
Yep.
And case in point, I'm in Towanda, Pennsylvania. I got very ill in Florida last week, was bedridden basically for 2 weeks. And my friend was awakened in the middle of the night saying, a woman is dying and you need to have her come visit you. And then the next morning she said, well, who is the woman? And it was me. I was really ill. And she reached out to me. We've only spoken twice in 34 years, but we worked very closely with patients when I had my retreat center. And she said, you need to come here and you need to come now. Now, I was in Florida, couldn't get out of bed, couldn't walk. So they put me on an airplane, and this is serendipity. This is the joy movement. Like I sort of wrote a goal. I'd really like to go home first class. I never mentioned it to anybody, but I write everything down because kinesthetically, your brain is good for something, takes that in, and then, through the hindbrain and the reticular activating system, it brings things together that mirror what you've asked for. Without asking, I was upgraded to first class. And then that flight was delayed. And I was very grateful that I was in the club and, I couldn't walk, but I was parked near the bathroom, which was great. And then the woman comes up and says, your flight's been delayed until 7:30 at night. My flight was supposed to be in the morning. She said, would you like me to put you on another flight? I said, I would be so grateful. They again put me in first class. I was treated like royalty. I'm just an average person in my wheelchair, but I built energy bridges with everybody, even the grumpy wheelchair people. How are you doing today? And
Yep.
Yeah,
the way
exactly.
to touch lives is to just be real and care enough to say, how are you? So today I was navigating a birthday present for my husband, and I got the guy and I said, so how are you doing today? And there was this dead silence. He goes, well, actually quite well. Thank you for asking. Something as simple as that can bring joy to another human being. And joy is contagious just as negativity is.
Oh, yeah.
It's that movement of joy inside of me because I was totally neutral. And in that neutrality, the universe gave me what I asked for, an upgrade to first class. I was in the third seat. It was amazing. And they helped me on board. And because I was in the third seat, I could put my little blankets and my goodies underneath the seat. And it was extraordinary. And when I got off from Orlando Airport to Philly, the people just took me. You have to take a train in Orlando to get from one side to the other. And the wheelchair people took me, and then they dumped me. And they said, okay, you have to walk down there. I said, I can't walk. She goes, oh, like it dawned on her. And she got a wheelchair attendant, and the two of them took me through the entire terminal right up to the gate. They put me to the head of the line, which I'm sure didn't please a lot of people. But they put me in, and the same thing happened on the other end.
That's wonderful.
And
That's
I was like, I was so safe and protected, but I was in equanimity. Like, wow, isn't it fascinating? I can't swallow anything. I can't eat anything. Wow, it's on day 4. Maybe I'll lose some weight. And I lost 6 pounds. So that was my celebration. And I probably lost more.
I found it. If you want them back.
I don't want them back. I've released them. And so that today my brain is functioning enough. I didn't know if I'd be on the call. But, God bless my virtual assistant, Bonnie. She took it upon herself to know I wasn't well enough to do last week. And that's how the universe conspires.
Hi, Buddy the Bigfoot. Buddy the Bigfoot is with us.
Wow. Hi, Buddy Bigfoot.
Yep, he is a character. You can rent him for events and everything else. He was at the Gettysburg Battlefield Bash. And you can reach him through Ted Van Son. That
He knows Bodine.
TV network. I'm sorry?
I said, I wonder if Buddy knows Bodine.
But Buddy is great. You can get free hugs from Buddy. He is big. He's a big Bigfoot. Very big.
Oh, that's great.
Oh yeah, much fun. Also, I do want to just say this comment just for the sake of the audio version only.
Mm-hmm.
He says, it's amazing how much a child learns in a small time. I'm constantly in awe. Raising good humans is my life's biggest mission. That's everybody's biggest.
It is. And she's doing an amazing job at it.
Yeah.
She's a friend of mine, and she's doing an amazing job at it. She's not doing an amazing job at keeping my tummy filled with cotton candy, but
I haven't done any, but just saying. But you catch more flies with honey. Yeah. And
yes.
Cotton candy.
Cotton candy. Yeah. You catch lots of Mama D's with cotton candy. There's this little gnat flying around the house.
All kinds of funky flavors and everything. Just, really great. But okay, now we've been talking about a lot of things and all wonderful things. Now, how out of all these things that you've done and all the things that have happened to you, traumas and everything else, how did this come out of that?
Oh, that book has been a labor of love. I started it when my husband was still alive. I was at the kitchen table and I said to him, honey, I wonder what a puddle of leaves is. And he goes, well, you better go write it down. And I wrote it down and I didn't know what it meant. And I wrote things like vile ducks, bile ducks. There was ducks in there somewhere. And then he goes, just sit down and start writing. And so I wrote just by spontaneously asking for the characters to talk to me. And it starts out very kind of normally where there's Oscar who lives in a puddle of leaves. that he builds himself every winter. And Sheila Ribbit, one of the characters, has been boy napped or frog napped, and she escapes and leaves her friend behind. And so she's basically dying because frogs need to roll in mud or leaves, and they don't drink water. Now, I didn't know this as I was writing, but I researched everything that they said, and actually it's all accurate, which is really trippy. And so she's there saying, oh, if only I could see my mama one more time. And then she hears her mama's voice saying, be strong, keep hopping. And she sees this big puddle of leaves, and she thinks it's something she can jump in, and then she notices that it's somebody's house. And so that's how the book started. And I wrote a fair amount. My husband that passed away was my editor, in addition to being a chaplain at UCLA. And he was an incredible, prolific poet. And so he would encourage me, and he'd edit it. When he passed away, Tim Johnson, some TV person, wanted me to come on his show and write a book. I was too distraught to actually write it, but I printed out a lot of stuff, which was separate from Lovelyville. But when he passed, I put Lovelyville in my cabinet, and I forgot about it until 2014. And people started calling me, so-called randomly. And one of them is a very devout guy, and Archangel Michael's with him all the time. And he goes, Father is really disappointed. That book needs to be published. And then someone else called me, and Lynn, when are you going to finish that book? And everybody that had read it back in 2007, all of a sudden started calling me, where's the book? And so in 2014, I'm like so distracted. I wrote another book called Soul Lifts, which happened to be the bestseller too. But when I finally sat down and wrote this book, it came because I wrote a goal that I would be on retreat to finish Lovelyville. And that retreat came in the form of a birthday present from a client I had helped probably roughly 30 years earlier when she broke her neck. And she said, Lynn, I've booked a cruise from Vancouver to Hawaii. Would you be my guest? I've booked a suite.
Yes.
That was my birthday present. And my first answer was, oh, but I won't be able to get reception with my clients while I'm gone. And then I hung up and I said, thank you. That was so nice. And I said, duh, you just wrote a goal. And I actually made a mind movie out of it. My friend Natalie Ludwell has this mind movie thing. So I put it to music, and I made a mind movie, retreat, writing the book, bestseller. And then that dawned on me after I hung up, and I said, duh, I should have a V8. I called her back and said, honey, I would love to. Would it be okay if I spent a lot of my time finishing this book? And her comment was, honey, you could have a party as soon as I take my hearing aids out. You can do whatever you want. So it was so amazing. She'd come take her naps. I'd sit. There was actually a desk in the stateroom. Okay, who wants to talk? Oh, Oscar. Okay. And I'd always do a breathing exercise or a meditation before, and I'd ask for God to bring me the right words. And then the next day, who wants to talk? Oh, I don't know you. It's a new character. Okay, what do you want to say? And I finished it in the 2-week cruise. And then it went into editing, which dragged on ad nauseum. Mm-hmm. And then in the end, I had shifted so much from 2007 to 2019, 2020, that I had to redo the first whole part of the book because it was in third person. And then I wrote it in the first person. And then I kept maturing as I wrote it, because there's a place in the book toward the beginning where they're in a very dark place. And I won't share what it is, but they draw on their inner stamina and strength. And everything that's in that book is autobiographical, which is quite ironic. All the tools that I use to pull myself out of trauma, out of grief. I lost 2 husbands, one in a plane crash, and then my other husband from a drug overdose at the hospital. So I was no stranger to grief. But writing the book allowed me to put it in a way that a child of 10 could read it. That was my youngest reader. And someone 75 could read it. And they each found value. And that was my goal, because it is a parable of self-awareness. And the characters become aware of their unawareness as their community is attacked. And
Exactly.
so it's
And
it's
it's
so
unseen. Yeah, it's an unseen force, which is
it is.
you know, because people that don't work with community, if you have a positive community, it's going to be positive. If you have a negative community, it's going to be negative. That is a
Mhm.
force, and it's catchy, you
It's
know.
very contagious. Have you ever gone in a room where someone's really angry and you
Oh,
walk out and you wonder why you're angry? It's
oh
like
yeah,
it's a bug. It's catching.
yeah,
And the way what the characters do is they learn how to catch the negative expression and to recognize when the negativity is kind of like land on your head.
right.
And it's the things that I've done to literally overcome my trauma and gain self-awareness. When I wrote it, that was not my intention. My intention is just to, what's a puddle of leaves? That's what started the whole book. And
Everything is for a reason, and the universe
Yeah.
knew that this was going to be the final outcome of it. And how many people, have you helped by, writing a book like
Yeah.
this, and kids too, because it is. It's the frogs, and it's the lizard and the spiders and the owls and so you got all these animals characters that are going through these situations. So yeah,
right,
your younger child can read it, and of course, younger kids now
Okay, I
sadly
have a question.
are going through trauma.
they
Do you
are
think that this book would be good for a parent to read to their child?
absolutely. One of the quotes on the back of my book, which is the most precious one of all, is this book is the best of Lord of the Rings, Chronicles of Narnia, and Charlotte's Web.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
That touched me more than anything. And there's a handicapped lizard who's made fun of.
Yep.
He models a perfect way to handle a bullier. There's all sorts of human type traumas. Oh, there's Alzami.
Yeah.
He's the lizard. He's lost his tail in an earthquake and he's lost his eye.
Yep.
And he came to offer help to Lovelyville residents. And one of the comments was, "What are you gonna do? You can barely walk and you can't see." And his comment was, "It might seem that way. It is true. I can't see. As for my tail, it will grow back. But I have a lot of wisdom, and they know how to go into dark places." And so Alzami means one who can conceal themselves in Hebrew.
Okay, because I was going to ask you that,
Nice.
and then the Nasara, I don't know how to say it.
Nasa-
Nasarata,
Nasatara?
Nasatara.
Astara. It means light bringer.
Okay.
And so they're part of this for all of us as human beings. It's kind of like we're born these creative giants. We're stuffed in a little body. We can't speak, we can't talk, but we still have the wisdom that's come with us.
Mm-hmm.
And this book is for people, whether they're drug addicts or workaholics or whatever, there's something for them. And I think two of the greatest things that happened in reading of the book is I wanted to see if a 10-year-old could appreciate it, because that was part of my beta. I had people read it. And she sat down. Her name is Sofika. She's from the Ukraine. Her mom's from the Ukraine. And I said, "Sofika, would you like to look at my new book?" So she sits there and she goes, "Oh, Lynn, this is a very good book." And then a couple minutes later, she's up playing with her iPhone on the couch. And I said, "So, Sofika, did it get boring?" "Oh, no, Lynn, I had ballet and piano lessons, and my brain's really tired. I just want to play with my phone." So when the book was done, she came to visit, and I said, "Sofika, can we read a little bit in the book together?" "Oh, yes, Lynn." So I read a little bit. And I said, "So what did you like?" She goes, "Oh, Lynn, what you read me made my sorrow go away, and I feel happy again." And then at the end of the book, she just got all really, really red because there was stuff going on with her family life, and she just could step into the solution by reading a book.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then the other person was a friend who was brain damaged, and she used to be a really art with words. And so she wanted to help me. So I said, "So just read it, MJ." And so she read it 5 times. And she said, "Lynn, every time I read it, my brain got clearer." Who knew? And so each person has a different response because there's so many traumas and so many opportunities where you can take what they've done and make it your own.
Mhm.
And that's really the intent of the book.
That's awesome. I mean, it's not that it's a big book. I read it in threes. You know, it's like I read it. I'm letting things sink in. I'm letting the characters sink in. I'm letting where they're at the journey to sink in. I'm letting my mind wander because you're not telling people exactly what to do. You're leaving it up to them to make your own decision on how you can use these tools, but how can you better yourself? How can you better the situation? How can you get yourself out of the situation? So I was really getting my mind wrapped around it. I really was. So I mean, I actually finished it this morning, and I was like, this could go on.
Oh yeah, it could definitely be another book.
Yeah, it definitely could go on, But I'm glad you kind of circled back to the other frog because I was like, all right, well, wait a minute, and then we found out about that. I was like, okay.
It's a precious book, and like I say, it is autobiographical. Some of the events in there, especially with one of the frogs, is very close to home. And I just found it the most delightful thing. I had so much fun. It wrote itself. I just had to get out of the way.
Yeah, lots of us forget to do that.
Oh yes, and I oh my God, am I a stickler for going back and rewriting? And it's like, no, it is what it is, and I received it by way of these critters, and of course it was aspects of my personality, of course, of my consciousness that made it so real because it is real, and everything in that book I've done successfully. So the tools, anybody, a 10-year-old, the oldest person to read was 75. And he grew up reading fairy tales. And this is a good book. So I figured if I got a 10-year-old and a 75-year-old, it's for the young one in all of us.
Have you ever thought of making it like an audio book and have
I actually very much want to make it an audio book. I just haven't had the time.
Yeah, I think
it would be a great audio book.
It would, and then you get the song and everything too. So and the meanings of the song.
And the thing about the song, Tina, you know what's so cool about that? I have a friend in Italy who's a film director. When he did a podcast about Lovelyville, and when he was done, he was awakened at night and he wrote the music to Lovelyville song.
Ooh, nice.
So there is music for it. And then his colleague, who also happens coincidentally to be a lawyer friend of mine in Texas, has a band, and he put background music to it.
Wow.
So my prayer is that it would be an animated film because it's pretty epic.
Aw.
So
frogs are great, like dolphins, always smiling.
Always smiling.
Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah, I'll show you.
I didn't mean to cut you off, but that was kind of a cool thing. He wrote a song because I puzzled about how to do it.
Is that available that someone can listen to? Like I would love to know if it was anything like what I'm thinking.
I don't know. I have to see if I can find it. He must be off shooting a film because he hasn't contacted me lately.
Oh, So if you can find it, you gotta share it with me because I would love to.
And it's a rough draft.
Yeah, is that from?
That's Sheila.
Yeah, I like the drawings. I used to draw like this all the time. That's how I started out my art careers, just pencil drawings all the time. And I would draw just like this. It's like I could have done these pictures.
Jojo in the chat room says, I love audiobooks because my eyes are failing. It's so hard to read now.
Well, it's in my horizon, Joanna, so that you can have something to listen to. I really want to do it myself because I feel that the characters are so wonderful. Now, Oscar has a very deep voice. And Sheila Ribbon is very shy. And,
I can picture the little mouse, too.
And Mousewitch, Sniffwitch is this little mouse. I guess, I'll just say he's very timid when he starts. And he's transformed in the journey of caring for other people enough to be brave, which is not what we do.
He was cool because I loved him because he was like the record keeper, and he was so distraught that he lost the records were gone, And so there's a lot going on here.
Yeah, it's a painful book.
Yeah, it's like, and for being so little, you know what I mean? Meaning not many pages, right? It's a lot of content in there.
Yeah, it doesn't take a lot. It's, for me, it's common sense sometimes that people kind of, and it's just a different way of putting it. And she was able to put it in words that, like you said, from 8 to 80 can understand it and could read it and could enjoy it. But it's just common sense that sometimes people forget what it is.
Common sense is sometimes beaten out of us.
Yeah. It's getting back to that center, and that's all. And the thing is to look within, you know, and it's always the answers are within us, you know, and we know this. It's just you have to be reminded of that, you know, sadly.
And also, you know, is patience. There's a season and a time for everything. Like I used to beat myself up. Why isn't this book written? Well, I had more learning and growing and wisdom to accumulate. So everything has its perfect time. You can't plant an apple and expect it to come out the same as an orange. And that's what I think the characters in this book are learning. You know, they're learning what worked at one point that no longer works. And then they find something that up-levels them to something that's more loving and kind, where everybody gets to win. You know, even the so-called bad guy has an opportunity to do something different. And as humans, I think this is one of the hardest things. If I go to my nerd brain for a second, we have the amygdala, which is part of the fight, flight, freeze. And when we have a trauma, that event is frozen in the eternal now, which is why it's so hard for people to let go of their traumas, because that's how the amygdala protects us, or so it seems. And
I know, right? And it really makes you stuck, but you won't, you know.
You don't know you're stuck because you're a hamster in a wheel.
Exactly.
So part of what this book might be is pattern interrupt. Because when I work with my clients with trauma, I use algorithms. I don't make them rehash the whole story again, like Mousy with his records, but to bring in like a new neural pathway that we strengthen. So the other one is like a road that's not used anymore. And it's not hard. It just takes a willingness to do things differently. And that's, I think, what the characters, they had to be proactive. They had to change it up. And they had a very successful completion, in my eyes anyway.
Yeah, I like how you described fear too. Fear, you don't see it, right? Like fear's like the wind. So tell them what you said about the wind.
Oh, I don't even remember anymore. You don't know where it comes from, and you don't know where it goes. Oh, the wind, you mean, or the wind?
Yeah, the wind on the water.
Oh yeah, the I don't remember.
It's fear. Fear is like the wind. You don't see it, but it's like the wind going across the water. You see the ripples. You see the effect.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
That's so true.
But you don't see it coming at you. You don't see it as it hits you.
It comes and it goes. And the thing about the fear is, if you take a proactive thing, like the one in this scene, there's one where they're all really lit, like the negativity's on them and they can hardly move because it's so negative. And they do something that I did after my second husband died. And it's so simple. I was stunned when that's what they used in the cave. And it's so simple, a 5-year-old could do it. And that's the joy of writing, when you're not censoring every word, or when you're being yourself. We're so taught to care what other people think.
Yeah.
And in this book, there's a lot of that too.
Yep.
You know, and so the learning to be present inside yourself, and the way that the creatures learn how to listen to themselves, is probably the greatest gift of the book. Because we don't have to listen to the God of others' opinions if we can, in the non-traumatic times, learn to develop some kind of centeredness. You know, and when I used to walk after my husband died in the plane crash, I would take long walks. I had a retreat center in the country we ran together. And I would just go, be still. trust, I am. And I would do it with my breath as I walked. Be still, pause, trust, pause, I am. And it was a cycle. And it was a 3-mile walk I used to take with my dog. And that calmed me down. Just those 3 simple statements.
Yep.
And then when, for those that have any kind of a spiritual or religious persuasion, God could be anything. God is dog spelled backwards as far as I'm concerned. But if you say, God bless you, I love you, peace be still, to yourself, you'll find that soothes the stormy waters inside. And if you're really annoyed at someone, if you can find it in you to say, God bless you, I love you, peace be still, it's a sword that will never come back and cut you. But it'll cut through the mishigash and all the stuff that's there. And I used that with myself for decades. I taught it to my daughter when she was young. And it's not so much about the religiousness of it, but that God is, whatever it is that created us and breathes us, that's my good enough definition.
Mm-hmm.
And years ago, I read a book where somebody said God was the generator of dimensions. I liked that a lot. Because all dimensions are created by whatever it is that breathes us. And we're part of the fabric of the whole. That's why the book is so fun. Because what we see in animals is in us. What we dislike in another is in us. And to look in the mirror and to say that, oh, I don't like that person. I had a Native American grandmother who adopted me and said, honey child, you point that finger at someone else, you best know 3 are pointing back at you.
Right.
If you don't like someone, look at yourself. And that's part of what these creatures had to do. They had to look at themselves in the mirror and see how they were putting on beings, creatures that were different from them, their own issues.
Yep.
Oh my God.
And then working together, and then overcoming it and working together, which is what our planet needs to do right now.
Yes, ma'am.
Peace on Earth, if we all, like as Goethe said, swept in front of our own doorway first.
Yep, exactly. Because that is the hardest thing for anybody to do. And how many times have I said it, Mama? People have no problem going like this, but you can't go up to a mirror and do this to yourself. And that's what everyone has to start with. What can I? You're looking at yourself brush your teeth in the morning, right? What can I do today to be a better person? What can I do?
And then
not get on Gina's nerves.
Absolutely. And one of the best things we can do when we get up in the morning, most people say, oh God, it's morning. What if you said, oh, good morning. It's a good day. I'm still breathing.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
And when my husband was alive, he was on a PBS documentary, and one of the people being interviewed was a heart transplant. And she shared that, I used to have bad days. I would bitch a lot. I didn't think I'd live. I got my heart. And she goes, and the interesting thing was, no matter how I wake up in the morning, I say, thank you, God, for my heart.
Yeah.
And that's the simplicity of thank you for my life. No matter how many aches and pains you have. I mean, I was sick as a dog 2 weeks ago. I mean, I literally could not get out of bed. And I kept going to myself, how fascinating. I'm incredibly healthy. It wasn't COVID, but I'm incredibly healthy. I'm going through this. There must be something here for me.
Yeah.
I've learned that through lots of surgeries, lots of things in my life, that whatever happens to me, if I can make it for me to learn and grow, then that's not a horrible thing because I'm wise at the other end. And that's hard to learn. I gotta say, it's easy to say, oh, poor me. It's the most natural default.
Of course. Yeah, and then wallow in it and drag everybody else around you, just like the thumpers. Drag everybody in that hole with you.
Well, that's the nature of negativity. But the thing about negativity, from my viewpoint at this point in my life, is that it's not against us per se. It is a strength. So every time the negativity hits me, I have a choice. I can go negative and bitch and moan and be a victim, or I can go, wow, how is this for me? And in that owning that it must be here to teach me something, I get to be stronger. So every day I write down equanimity is my default no matter what the issue.
Nice.
And I'm getting much better at it. And Debbie, yeah.
Writing is just a
Yeah.
huge thing. Debbie says, I was definitely sick 9 years ago, and I thank God every day for giving me another to wake up. And that's it. And this is, again, why I made that post today for that poor guy, Jared. He passed away from COVID last night. And again, father of 4 kids, 42 years old. He was due to have a double lung transplant on Monday.
Wow.
And didn't, so he didn't make it that far. I mean, you gotta take your blessings where they are, but again, you gotta be mindful of community. And you know what I gotta do, Mama? I gotta do our ad, but I actually have to put it up here too. So I need to find the
Where my mom goes? Because I'm leaving that 9 o'clock alarm.
Yeah, I know, right? So that's that. Put it up there. Open. All right. This sharing thing, I always get it kind of messed up. So we have to all mute our microphones and then unmute our microphones again. So I will do that right now. I'm gonna mute us all.
Mute me.
Yep, I'll mute you.
The Foxton is now proudly sponsored by Vortex Ghost Gear, one of the leading fabricators of paranormal equipment. Bob Christopher is the founder and creator of Vortex Ghost Gear. Bob has decades of investigating, starting with his team at NEPA Paranormal and as lead in the popular local PA TV show Ghost Detectives. His experience and knowledge of how spirits could be seen or heard is how he manufactures equipment for specific scenarios of spirit manifestation and communication. Ghost hunting equipment made by a ghost hunter. He is the only manufacturer of the lifelike trigger prop cats, and there is a litter to choose from, and also the trigger prop dogs with a few new additions to the kennel. Using proximity meters wired to lights and sound, these have proven to be highly effective communication devices in the field of study. The HDO, another Vortex exclusive, allowing specific items to be the highlight or trigger of your investigation. For example, place the item on a metal tray or attach directly to any metal object, such as keys or glasses that continue to go missing or moved. Ask the spirit to touch the item. The HDO will light. It has an optional sound option as well. This device was used on Travel Channel's Ghost Nation with great results. The Dome, a static detector, can be the most useful device in your gear bag. This is to back up the theory that spirits manifest using static electricity. By using several, you can track a spirit, for example, walking down a hallway, setting off each as it passes. The Geophone detects vibrations. This is another way to track movement if a claim is footsteps in the hallway or stairwell. Set the sensitivity and place the device in that area, and its band of lights will show a range of vibrations, from the slightest tapping, lighting only a few lights, to the loudest thumping, lighting its entire range. The V-Pod holds a special place for those who love the idea of REM pods. Use this sleeker, smaller, easier to transport device, and it has 2 sound modes, REM and musical. The customizable items are the Easy Scan Ghost Box, which is very popular due to the ease of use, and they are custom decorated to the individual or team using them. Bob programs and uses an Arduino-based computer, scanning FM waves to potentially communicate with the spirit realm in real time. Every box is different, every box is unique, and all custom hand decorated by Gina Bankston. The newest item to Vortex Ghost Gear is the Cryptochords motion-activated music box. Place the item with a sensor pointing in the direction you wish to monitor. If something crosses the V pattern emanating from the box's sensor, the music and light will activate. Take your investigating to the next level with many of Vortex Ghost Gear's unique and custom creations by Bob Christopher by visiting www.vortexghostgear.com. View all the products and get your equipment today. You can also investigate with Bob and Gina with Ghostly Excursions, taking people to some of the most haunted locations in the United States by visiting www.ghostlyexcursions.com. And join us on our next adventure.
Hello? Somebody help us, please?
We heard that you take in wounded soldiers.
We are also Masons. I saw the Mason flag outside.
Take him.
Holy. Something keeps touching it.
Do you think maybe they're trying to bring you your sword?
I feel like once we said we're Masons, that's when it started going off.
Because the Weems family Masons. This is somebody in the Weems family.
Are you Thomas? There goes.
Are you here with us now? This is why you put stuff on and you put yourself in their shoes. This is why you do that. You're absolutely right.
Unmute. Okay. So that I love that clip. He's so cute. Steve, oh my God, he gets so excited. He was just at this event this past weekend too. We got to see him again, and him and Dave, really nice guys. So that was a lot of fun. Jojo, up a storm over here. Jojo, yeah, I wish you right here. My dad's in the hospital with COVID. My mom's in a nursing home because she can't take care of herself anymore. I've been in the hospital for over a week. I've got a splinter that got infected. Like, she needs serious heart, and it's in her bones. So she's got a bad heart as it is. Some of how I survived countless heart attacks and multiple bouts of cancer, it's made me question everything and finally accept God.
Wow. What a journey.
Yeah.
Yep.
And she still gets her Facebook chat.
Well, blessings to you.
Yeah, she's had a rough go of it her whole life, and this is something that she could benefit from. This book, the concept, the positivity, using that, because it's so easy to dwell in the negative, because a lot of negative things happen to her and always have, and it's like really easy to dwell and stay there, and it's like it's so hard to climb out of that. And you need help, to do that. Now, what do you offer as for your clients? As how could you help, like someone like Jojo?
Well, I think you're on the right track. I mean, I work with a lot of people with 4-stage cancer, massive surgeries, and my sense is that nothing is accidental. It's not a punishment. It is an opportunity, because to be really blunt, we're all going to die. I've had an experience where I was on the other side. When I was a child, I thought I was rejected because I was sent back. That's how my unworthiness was. But there's nothing to fear about death. It's just stepping through a doorway. And the more you can embrace the mystery of your life, and this is going to sound weird and people would probably yell at me, but if you can learn to love what you're going through and find equanimity and peace, you can still be in pain, but there's a way that when you come to peace, you can actually get on top of the pain. I've had to do that because I've been in intense pain in my life. And it's not necessarily easy, but if you ask for help spiritually, God doesn't care what you call it, it breeds you. And so if you can use this as an opportunity to find the places in you that maybe you've ignored or hurt, and just get curious, and just you could say, I love my heart, or my bones, and bring loving as though your bones were real, and bring the loving to the part that hurts inside, That's where healing is. And healing is sometimes death, you know, and that's for all of us. None of us know when it's going to come calling.
Yeah. It's not a news flash, you know.
Yeah, and I'm with a woman now who's 87 years old. She's the one that God woke her up and told me to come here. And she has lived with environmental poisoning and lived on oxygen for most of her life. Now that she's 87, she's like an anchorite. She lives in her home and she never leaves. And yes, asking for God's help, it may not come the way we want it, but it will always come.
Yes.
Yep.
I hope that supports you in some way, and my prayers to you for the courage that you've exemplified so far.
Yeah. A lot of people don't understand how to pray to God. They really don't. They say, I pray to God to give me $1 million because I really need to get myself out of that.
It doesn't happen that way.
I mean, you can try to manifest things, you know, you can try to pull things out of the air like that. You know, some people say, yeah, you can do that. But to pray to God for it, I don't know. But what you can
What
do
you can ask is
for
the
the courage
strength to overcome.
to do the footwork, to do what I need to do in order to make that $1 million. You know, give me the guidance, give me the strength, give me the courage, give me the wisdom. All of those things. That's what you can pray for. You know.
Yep.
And the beauty of that surrender prayer is when you surrender. Like my husband lived with chronic pain, the one that was killed by a drug overdose. No, don't give up because life is precious.
That's right.
And he lived in pain from the time he was born until he died. Massive pain. And yet he was an incredible chaplain. It was obvious he was in pain. He walked with a cane. And when he would pray with people, they were so inspired by his joy that they could then begin to embody that joy. And I look at him and I marvel. He got up every day, went to the hospital in pain, ministered all day in pain, sat with people all day, and would come home. And when the pain was so bad, we'd watch Marx Brothers, Abbott and Costello, ridiculous things. And that would bring the endorphins. So if you could find ways to find joy in the midst of all your challenges, that itself will begin to uplift you. And praying for other people or loving other people, even if you just, like I had a woman that did a prayer ministry, she sent cards to everybody. And I was in a strange place in my life, and this neighbor started sending me cards. And they were so incredible because, first off, I didn't know who she was in the beginning. And that simple act of sending a card lifted me. And when we're in so much pain and we can take ourselves and recognize the pain, you don't deny it, but if you can do something of a kindness, even if you have and thank you for the doctor, thank you for the kind nurse, that's a ministry. It's not even, it doesn't have to be that word, but it's a giving out of your loving, which will then build some momentum that it will come back to you. Those are some of the things that James did for me and for his patients.
That's awesome.
But always be kind. So no, don't give up because life is a journey. And when we pass over, we don't die. Our spirit does not die. Our body is recycled. You get a new one. And you learn from this lifetime, and you'll bring all of that wisdom with you. And I don't say that as a belief. I say that as knowing. There's a big difference. And oh my God, yes, stand-up comedy is exquisite. Joanna, you're wonderful.
She is funny.
She is.
I love her to death. I just hate all the things that have gone on with her. And
but you know what? My looking at the things that have affected us negatively, what we think as negatively, is a learning tool that we'll be able to share with somebody in the future. For all the stuff that you've gone through, Jojo, and if somebody is going through the same thing, you'll be able to talk to them saying, hey, been there, done that. Somebody sometimes just needs someone to know what they're going through.
And you survived it, and you're surviving it. So you're still here. You're here to tell the tale. And while you're here to tell the tale, tell the tale.
Yeah, and I'm preaching to the choir. You're already doing everything.
Yep.
It is so uplifting.
But it's good to hear. It's good to know, you're on the right path. It's good to know that you're doing these things. I mean, I would love to see her, I would love to see her here. I would love to see her in this community. You know what I mean? Surrounded by just that love and embracing and all that kind of stuff. I would love to see her there. It's like she puts herself in these places, and it's not that. It's not this. It's the other one. It's the Nowhereville one. It's just really, it's just like, and it's like, and I just want to reach out and give her a hug all the time. I really seriously do. But I can understand we all have our lots in life to deal with. I'm in pain every single day of my life. My neck is bad since I was 17. Every single day, it's pain. I'm just used to it. Some days it's unbearable, and it will make me sick. It will make me sick to my stomach. It will give me such migraines that I could just melt bags of ice on my head all day. I'm down for a day, no matter what. And there's nothing I can do. There's nothing to be done. There's arthritis. There's all kinds of problems, fusing going on, all kinds of stuff, But it is what it is. And there's really nothing I can do about it. I'm not, there really isn't. Pain is tough. I lost a husband too. That was outrageously, like out of the blue. Bam! At 50, he was gone. He was like this larger than life guy, and business owner and everything, and unexpected. And but it happened, and I have to deal with it, and you have to move on. You can dwell on that for a while, but you can't. I couldn't. I didn't really have time to grieve because I had to close his businesses down. I had to, all the jobs that were going on, make sure that those got completed and everything else was construction stuff. I worked with him, so I knew what was going on. People trying to take advantage. I don't know if you had to deal with that. People try to take advantage of you when you are, a widow, and they think that you're this mealy mouse little widow. And, oh, well, he owed me $30,000. It's like, no, he didn't. You abandoned the job site. You abandoned your equipment on the job site. We had to pay to have your equipment removed, and we went in and finished your work. So don't tell me that we owe you anything, dude. Right? And it's like, I'm no mealy mouse. I do not go quietly into the night. There's no way.
There's no day. A nurse was so kind to me many years ago. I thought, if she's got a daughter, I'd marry her. Guess who I'm married to?
Oh, that is so
Really?
Dave.
Oh, I get chills.
That was awesome.
Oh, that's the sweetest story ever. Oh
That
my
just
God. I
made
love
my
that.
day.
Yeah. Oh, what's JoJo say here too? Same, I look at it now as my learning journey. My dream has to be able to help others. Well, that's what me and Mama D try to do all the time. We always say, whoever we bring on this show, we hope that he helps, one
At
person.
least one person. At least one person.
We'd love to help, the world. We really, really, truly would. If we have that in our power, we put it out there. And that's why we say, please share, share these shows, because there's something good in every single one of them that's going to help someone that really needs it. Bless you. I love you.
I couldn't mute myself fast enough. Dang it.
God bless you, Mama. But that's like what you do. You gotta have great. It just has to warm your heart so much that knowing that you're helping.
Yeah.
It's so cool. And the thing I learned is like a candle. If you help one person and they help one person, you go 2, 4, 8, 16, 32. Imagine the ripple that Gene and Mama B are making every time they have a conversation and a show, and you never know who it's going to touch. That's what's so beautiful about the ability for us to connect now in ways that globally everybody can be lifted, and we don't have to know how or why.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of it. And sometimes someone will come back to you and say, do you remember me? And I'm going, no. When I was 8 years old, blah, 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 blah. And he turned to his wife and he says, and everything I learned from her in karate school as an 8-year-old, I used to make millions of dollars, honey. That was at the
Wow.
convention center in LA. He walked up to me. I was doing a thing on stage, and he goes, "Did you run a karate school in Ridgefield Park?" I said, "Yeah." "Remember me?" No. And he just gave me his name. He said, "Oh, I remember you now." And you never know who you're going to touch with a
Yeah.
simple little kindness. It's so like one of my things is to always build an energy bridge, no matter if it's a grumpy, wheelchair attendant or some big shot. It's like, how are you today? People don't actually, you call customer service, how can I help you? How are you today? Because then it's human and heart to heart. Can you imagine all of us would touch one person a day?
Yeah.
I know. That's all it takes, because that's
One
it. And then
day.
just say, pay it forward. Remember when that movie came out? Did you ever watch that movie, Pay It Forward? It was
I
such a
think I did see it, yeah.
such a good movie. I mean, they should play that like all the time. Honestly, because that's it. You need to, because one person does that and they say, "Oh, that was just so great." The people that
I
were
think
driving
I think through
to the
this
McDonald's lines or whatever, buy a sandwich. You know what I mean?
I think
You
through
get
this
so
rough time that the world is going through, a lot of people are doing it. And a lot of people don't see it because they're not announcing it. Like, how many times do you see a post on Facebook that someone says, "Well, I went to Tim Hortons drive-through or Dunkin' Donuts, and I paid for the person behind me. I was planning on paying for the person behind, to find out that the person in front of me paid for my meal. So then I just did the same thing." So as simple as things like that.
right.
I mean, I use, and the thing
And
is,
it
a
just
lot of people
uplifts
don't
your
say
whole
it.
day. Yeah,
Yeah,
you could be sitting there thinking about. You never know. You never know who's thinking what too when you're walking. You walk through a mall and you see someone walking with their head down, and then just like you would say, just say hi. Are you okay? You know what I mean?
exactly.
Just that one thing that could change their
Yep.
entire life. What if they were thinking of ending something, but someone actually
Yeah.
took time out to say hello?
Mhm.
That could
Exactly.
save their life.
I can't wait till we can give out free hugs.
Well, I gave out hugs at this event this weekend. Oh my gosh, we had hugs. We had our masks on, and everything, and everybody was good about it. They were worried people weren't going to be going into the place. It's at a school, so of course you definitely want to be very careful, because
Yeah.
those are the children going in there after we leave. So everyone wore their mask. There wasn't a lot of bitching and complaining about it. Although we got to have the nice shields, so our faces weren't covered up. Because we were special, because we were in the
Because we
picture.
were special. We can see their face.
Because we were special.
Those cheeks.
We are special. but
Mm,
did what we had to do, and it was wonderful. But what was really wonderful was just meeting people that you talk to, like through social medias, through Facebook, through whatever, and then there they are in person, and then you get to actually just give them a hug. It's wonderful.
oh yeah. It's nothing gonna be tear jerking and tear balling, makeup smooching
Oh,
face hugging
it
when
wasn't
you and I
yeah,
meet.
it wasn't the people. Yeah, it wasn't the people that get me teary eyed. Was I lost my Lacey
Oh,
in July, and there was a woman. She was deaf. Her friend was deaf, and the dog. They had a little Papillon with them, who was deaf and blind. But they brought my friend who had a table up the aisle. She brought them over. She was just like, "Oh my god!" Right? And I'm like, "What?" And then she was standing in front of her, and she stepped aside, and I see this little Papillon, and my heart melted. I was just like,
mhm.
"Oh!" And it was so tiny. It was a little one, right? But I got to hold her and love her, and that soft fur, and Bob was kind of like, "Oh, why would she do that? Why would she bring that over here? Because you're going to get upset." And it's like, no, it didn't
It
upset me.
helped.
It was like, oh my God, it was like the best medicine on the planet. It's like I got to just hold this living, loving ball of fur, that knows nothing as it's blind and deaf, but love and the loving touch, you
Yep.
know?
And it
And
brought you back good memories of Lacey
it,
Lee.
it did. It did. So it was great. But it's just moments like that wow, that feeling of warmth. I mean, that is the feeling that everyone should have every day of their life.
Yep.
you know, and
Exactly.
it was like that, like a wave hit me because it was hectic. It was really hectic all day long too, because people were coming. We were busy. We couldn't break. We couldn't eat. We didn't had no breaks because it was just that busy all day, and we were talking nonstop. And I wanted to talk to everybody. I didn't want to leave anybody out, you know.
Yeah.
But that one moment just grounded me and centered me like nothing else could have. And when you said God fell backwards, I mean that was it in a nutshell, you know. So,
And think about it. Think if we taught our children to speak kind words.
right.
Yeah.
Think if we would speak kind words about ourselves to ourselves and then to others, the world would be so much kinder because, you know, we're taught harshness, many of us as children. We're bullied in school, you know, different than other kids. And animals are just givers of love.
Yeah. There's no judgment.
Right, and where I'm staying with my friend of 34 years, upstairs where daughter-in-law and son live, they have an attack German Shepherd. I mean, this thing, his name is Maximilian, Max for short. And so when I was outside the first day, I was able to do a little bit of qigong in the backyard. This dog comes behind me and he goes, "Arr," and I've been warned that this dog will attack people. So I just pulled a little extra energy and I sent the dog love and he walked away. So the next time that I went upstairs, he was really, "Ah." I just looked at him and said, "Really?" And the dog turned around and walked away. So, you know, I was just so nonchalant because the dog's not going to bark me. There's no place that dog is going to bark me because I'm emanating the energy of loving. It's like a barrier around me. And we can do that. You know, when we get up in the morning, we could just ask to be filled with loving, to be filled with health and wellness, and any negativity just go away. Now, one of the things I use to help dispel negativity that your listeners might like is as simple as shaking your hands. When I was in Taipei, every morning I'd go up on the roof and the teacher would have us do exercises. And this one, yes, definitely. This one was just shake your hands and you're shaking the negativity off.
Yep.
And then we would have to stand on one foot and shake the foot and the two hands.
Good Lord, and fall over.
It would be that hard. Imagine
You'd be like,
scraping
pick
the
up on
garbage
the
off you. And sometimes I'll go like this, and no, negativity is not me you're looking for. And it really
And you
does.
realize that you're being silly too, and then that brings in that laughter
Yeah,
and
that laughter.
the childlike
Exactly.
thing too,
It's
while you're shaking it up, while you're actually doing something.
Yep,
Yeah.
and it actually will calm you down, which is so remarkable.
Yeah. And a lot of people think it's so difficult, and it's not easy. There is work involved because some people will wake up and be like, oh my God, I'm in pain. I do that every morning. I wake up, I'm in pain. I say, wait a minute, I'm still alive. I can feel this pain. I find that goodness in that moment.
That's
And it's sometimes it's harder work. You know, when you lose somebody, when Gina's friend who passed away, when you lose that person, there's a lesson to learn. It's not going to be an easy one for everyone. It's not for everyone to get. It's just it's not like, oh, I'm going to wake up, I'm going to be perfect and chirpy. Even Mama D gets up and she's not in a happy mood.
I've witnessed it.
Yeah, she's seen
But
me
for the
grow.
most part, she's good.
Mm-hmm.
We all have
But
those days.
Yeah, but and the thing is, you just have to, like, you know, like you shake it off, like you do with the shaking of the hands. You shake off that negativity at work. Sometimes everybody's in like, oh my God, I feel like I'm working in a mortuary. No, it's not easy here. You know, I feel like I'm working in a mortuary because everybody's all gloom and doom, and you know, and it's like, dude, I'm put on music, put it in my ear, and I'm dancing. And everyone's looking at me like I'm nuts. Like, yo, at least you're smiling. At least, yes, I'm nuts. I love it. You know?
You used to raise everybody up that would go into that store of yours too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all the time.
Well, I got a compliment from a customer today, and sorry,
I have a fox on this, like this.
Oh my goodness!
Oh yeah.
Look at that.
Right, so there's a fox shoved in there, and this has like the thumbprint engraved
but I have my
in it.
baby butterfly somewhere in that room.
So you can stick this in your pocket and your thumb fits in it and you can rub it. So if you're going into a stressful situation, you can take whatever stones too, crystals and things, put them in your pockets. It's your intent. It's your, what you put in the universe.
Yeah, it's the work you put into it. Crystals are amazing things. I have tons of them. And amethyst. Oh, by the way, did you know that the gift for the 33rd anniversary is amethyst?
Was it really? Oh, I did not know that. You need to get an amethyst butterfly.
I had to work on that one, but yeah. And the thing is, it's not easy. No, but you have to be willing to work at it.
Yeah, I got a pile O right here.
Yeah,
The rose quartz here. I have a heart.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah, it's like, I just have so many cool things in here, and I wore all my hematite and everything else while we were gone away. This, for protection and everything, and it's like, all these things mean something, and again, it's here, from here it goes into here. So what you believe is going to work, but they do emanate energies. It's proven.
Yeah, years ago, probably 40 years ago, I just loved stones. I almost majored in geology. They actually wanted to give me a scholarship to Princeton in the geology department. I didn't want that. I was already in my college, and I was quite content. I ran away from home at 17, so I was working.
I swear to God, with kindred spirits. I swear to God, we're kindred spirits. We're living like the same thing. I ran away at 15 and went back for a little bit, and I've been out of the house since I was 17. But
yeah, I was a nerd, and I became a nerd, but I love my kids, and they comforted me, and I always loved the earth and rocks, and my favorite place as a kid was in the tree because it would bother me. On the roof of the house with the ladder pulled up, one or the other. But the stuff that we go through, if we're lucky, we'll cull the wisdom from it. And then like Joanna, she reaches out to help others. That helping others is like when you're riding a bicycle. The more you help, the more you receive. And ironically, the more you ask for, but not gimme, but I like to write things. I'm celebrating the publishing of my next book as a bestseller, so I write it in advance, but I'm programming it, and that's what I did with Lovelyville right from the beginning. I said I'm co-creating this book. It's in partnership with God, and it touches everybody that reads it, and it's a bestseller. And I held that image, not that I'm going to get rich, but that I'm giving the world something.
Yeah, but rich isn't always monetarily, as much as a lot of people think rich is monetarily. You're rich because, look at the characters you created. Okay, my question is, of all the characters that you've named quite a few, which is your most favorite?
Oh, that's such a hard question.
I know, it's always asking us to choose our favorite child.
I would have to say the central protagonist was Oscar.
Okay.
And Oscar embodies the part of me that's a detective. I'm a forensic trauma specialist. I find the original cause rather than the symptoms. And he's meticulous, and he doesn't miss a thing. And the thing that I had to develop as a child was incredible perceptivity to know when it was safe, when it wasn't safe. And that stood me in good stead. So that when I just look at somebody, or I see someone on the phone, or I hear them, I get a download through the vibration of their voice, through their energy. And then I'll say, oh, well, I don't know. You don't know. Let's ask the one that does know, which is clearly not me. And so in that context, the download happens. So it's heaven, human, and earth are united to bring the greatest loving and learning and wisdom possible. And that's what Oscar does. He doesn't judge anybody. He doesn't miss a trick. And he also is willing to learn and grow.
And he's so prepared.
He's man. He's like the survivalist.
That's me, like OCD to.
Oh my God, yes. And my husband used to tell me I was a survivalist because whenever we went on vacation, I made sure I had everything. You know. And so
I went over everything. Oh my God.
And I dearly love all of them. But I think Oscar, it was his puddle of leaves that started this whole mess. It was this wonderful, glorious book that evolved. But it's a puddle of leaves. You stack them up and you sew them with twine, and it's your house for the winter.
Right?
I like the sound of that.
God bless you.
Oh, gosh. He's
I'll
killing me.
pass it on.
I still like I like the mouse.
Oh, and Sniffwich. Oh my God, he's me too.
Yeah.
He is so obsessed with the past. And that's the part of my brain got injured, actually. So I've had quite a few brain injuries. And one of them, when I went to the doctor, he goes, "Do you repeat yourself a lot in the past?" I said, "Yes, I've been trying to stop it for decades." He goes, "Well, you got a brain injury. Give it up." And then I use it to my advantage because the way I help people is through stories. And God, have I got a bunch of stories. Story for the occasion. And I never know where they are until my mouth opens and, this reminds me of blah, 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 blah. Was anything like that in your life? Oh my God, how did you know? I don't know. And none of us really know. It's a journey of exploration and not knowing, which is the spice of life.
Yeah.
You got a comment on that, Mama?
I am not, I'm going to be honest, everybody knows that my life is like one crazy thing after another. And I have not had a chance to read a lot of this book, but I am getting into it, and I'm thinking like, just because like Gina writes notes, okay, people, y'all know, right? She writes notes, and I've got the list of names for some of the characters in your book that I haven't gotten to read. I'm sorry, my favorite. I don't know what Spidey does, but I like Spider. You know why? Because Gina doesn't like spiders. She's petrified of them, and I think I like to see her skin. But I think spiders are an amazing creature, so I have a feeling when I get to Spidey, I'm going to like that.
Oh, Spidey is amazing. He's in there to help people not be so afraid of spiders.
Yeah.
Hello, Gina.
That picture right here that I showed earlier, which page is this on here? Is of the lizard with the spider on the back. The spider rode on the lizard's back to complete this mission, and
nobody else would do it. So the two most ostracized outcasts, a lizard and a spider, came to help the community.
Yeah, see,
he's a wolf spider.
Oh, I see it now.
Yeah, you see him? So isn't he cute? He is cute.
He is cute and he's very brave.
He's running across my floor. He's not so cute.
There'll be a
vacuum. I put him outside.
Put him outside, yeah.
I don't like to kill anything except fleas and ticks.
Oh, ticks.
I know. I had Lyme for a while. Couldn't walk. Had neuropathy.
Damn, girl.
Yeah, it's gone now.
Lacey had Lyme. We treated her, and I had her on medication for a while, and then they said you can stop, and we stopped it. She was okay. I was like, okay, no.
Yeah. So what do you?
That's funny. You, not me. I hate any kind of bug, says Debbie.
I'm not fond of them, Debbie.
Well, I mean, bugs have a reason that they're here. Some of them.
But we need them.
There's the only thing I don't like in bugs. The only thing I don't like, I'm sorry, is cockroaches.
Yeah, they have to go.
The hissing cockroach is not so bad. I'm not crazy about them because they're still got the name cockroach. But but the little ones that infest your house, because I used to live in an apartment building many years ago, and they just
Yeah, they're pretty gnarly. When I was in Taiwan, the cockroaches, without exaggeration, were that big. And I lived in a fourth story walk up with 4 other families when I was studying. And at night, you turn on the bathroom light and they'd scurry.
Yeah. I went to a friend.
I had to come to peace with them. I went to kill one in a bookstore once, and they looked at me like I was killing their ancestor. Took my shoe off and bashed it. Well, actually, my friend took his shoe off and bashed it. And there was dead silence. You killed my ancestor.
My niece, who used to work for me and one of my businesses, and we would get out of the car to go into someone's house. If it was raining and there were worms on the driveway, she had to save the worms. She had to pick the worms up.
Yeah, we read it. Okay, I think that's
she wouldn't kill anything. She would put it outside. I mean, all the time. She still won't.
It's still not a cockroach. Cockroaches are nasty. I'm sorry. It's nasty.
No, there are some nasty looking things. And now I don't know where these half of these bugs are coming out of now. They look like nuclear bugs. They're all like psychedelic colors and stuff.
Oh,
And,
wow.
I'm just like, those killer wasp things, the big huge bees, those things, the killer ones. Where are these things coming from?
Nature's pretty imbalanced right now.
Yeah.
That's
in some respects, yes, imbalanced, and in other respects, she's getting herself back together. It's one of the upsides to COVID. The earth and nature are bringing things back, and unfortunately, I saw something not too long ago about the yellow-billed woodpecker is now on the extinction list.
Oh no!
It's like, dude,
See,
no,
I just had this conversation with Bob the other day about cloning. I think that's when they should clone things. If they're on the endangered list, oh God, no!
What's fascinating is for all the extinct ones, there are new creatures coming into creation that are just being discovered.
I know.
Yeah.
Isn't that incredible about life? Oh, and Jonna, yeah, I've seen cockroaches and flying bugs that are just amazing.
Huge. Yeah, she's down in New Orleans right now, so that's where.
Oh gosh, yes.
You go to Florida though, it's like, ugh. Again, you turn the lights on, lizards are running. It's
They're
like
telling me not to go. If there's a state with cockroaches in it, I'm definitely not going there. Eventually, I will get to every state that I have friends in that want to hug me.
Giant bugs, giant spiders, alligators, coming up from your backyard. No, thank you. I'm good. I'll stay up, more north. Right?
Every state has its drawbacks and its blessings. Florida's a tad humid.
Yeah.
The flowers are gorgeous, though.
So, hey, Doc, what's coming up after this book? What's up next?
Well, I just finished the first draft. All I need to do is format it. It's called The Grace of Love.
Cool.
And it's my husband and my love letters for the 8 years of our marriage. Live, candid, the good, the bad, the ugly. But the common theme is our loving for each other and all the ways that we grew in spite of our challenges, his health challenges. And it's so precious. I mean, I cried my way through reading it, not out of grief, but out of the reflection of the amount of love and how we grew each other. And so it's pretty much unedited. I've taken out the email addresses and I've taken out the to and from. I just have to Lin or from James with different fonts for each of us. And it's quite remarkable. And in 2002 was a year that we had no emails. I mean, I never anticipated doing a book. I just saved them. And I sat with it for about 2 months. And I said to my current husband, honey, 2002 was a blank. Because that's it. It's blank because there was a trauma you weren't able to let go of. And when I went back, the chapter is called Elephants in the Living Room and Barking Dogs. And so the elephants are the obvious traumas that we walk around every day. And the barking dogs is the negativity telling us you're this, you're that, you're the other thing, is a liar. And then it's just how that year was, and I wasn't able, nor mature enough emotionally or psychologically to go to that little treasure chest of traumas, because I had 17 years of missing memory when I ran away. And it took me at least 10 years to recover some of it after my second husband died in a plane crash. So that's when all the memories started coming up, and I couldn't work with anybody unless I was clear. So I took a year off work, and I just worked on myself every day until I was clear enough, and more clear than I'd ever been, to continue working with people. And what's so funny is I decided I was going to quit. And a lawyer called me from Washington, D.C. and said, I'd like to come see you. I said, I'm sorry, I'm not seeing anybody until next November. It's the first available date, because that would have been a little over a year. She goes, I'll take it. So the reason I went back to work was this lawyer waited over a year to come see me. Her visit was an overnight stay, and she left without chronic back pain she'd had for 20 years.
Wow.
Well, it was more neck than back, but
Yeah.
she just like, oh, it's done. I'm gone. Thank you. And so that's when I came back into working with people again. But I know that for me to be of service, I have to continue to grow myself every day. So anywhere from 2-3 hours a day, I work deeply with myself to stay clear.
Yeah.
The more I'm willing to surrender, my attachments into what's the next best thing. And I write my goals, which direct me, and it's this or something better than I can imagine. And I do that, matter of fact, right here. Here's my goal book. It goes everywhere with me. And
Nice.
every day I write my goals. And every day I write, I have another book, talk about anal compulsive. And this book are my wins every day. So that like riding a bicycle, it takes us a bit to get going towards your goal.
It does. It does.
Then when you acknowledge a baby step, like for me, to get out of bed, the huge step was to be able to sit up, which made me go like this. And then the next step was to reach to the other bed in the hotel room and get on my knees and then crawl to the bathroom. But I celebrated bit by bit. And I had so many people loving me. A lot of my clients were at this conference. And I found out later that they were all praying for me. And it's a darn good thing they were, because the lights were about to go out. And so I was quite okay with it, but I knew I wasn't done.
Yeah.
So here I am 2 weeks later, able to talk to you when I couldn't even sit up.
Yeah.
That's the grace of recognizing, wow, this is for me. Okay, Sally called me. Oh my God. She called me one other time when she said something and it came true. Beware the man with white hair. There's fire all around him. And I was going to New Jersey to do a speech. And I said, well, he's fine. He's a good guy. He was referred by so-and-so. Well, he accidentally burned my house down, my retreat center. So the spirit woke me up at 4:44. Like I used to have a speech called "What's Your 4:44," and I woke up, go home. There's a problem. And my mom had died in a house fire just 6 weeks earlier. As we're driving, down past the Susquehanna River to the bottom of the hill, my mom in spirit was in the back seat. I said, David, my mother's in the back seat. He goes, well, what's she saying? And at that moment, I looked up, and here were these billowing black clouds. And my mom had died in a fire, and here my house is burning down less than 6 weeks later. It was a retreat center. I just put $60,000 in, new carpeting, new roof, new kitchen. Everything was new, and I didn't have the bills. So I lost everything. And the beauty of this was that I had two people staying. One had been laid off from his job and was suicidal, and the other one was ex-military, and his daughter was 9 months pregnant, and he hadn't noticed. He was a single dad. And so he was clueless. He was being kind. That man accidentally tried to do good, heated my wood stove up such that it spontaneously combusted my home.
Damn.
It burned from the inside out. It gets even better. This man was in Vietnam. He passed out, and an angel woke him up, and he was able to pull up before he crashed. He decided to stay not upstairs where his bedroom was, but the cats were asleep on his bed, and he was very kind. He didn't want to wake them up. So he came downstairs to sleep in the downstairs bedroom on a bottom bunk. And he woke up with the angel hitting him, and when he sat up, he was in smoke. He crawled to the man next door, and they escaped. So it's like the guy that couldn't feel learned how to feel, and the one that was suicidal decided he really did like life.
Yeah.
And what I got out of it was a trip out west.
The positive out of the negative.
Yeah, and I ended up in a better retreat center.
Yeah.
So
Again, we have a similar type of a story. My house almost burned down after my husband passed away. He was really in spirit in that house, like larger than life, loud. You could hear him. If I made recordings, Class A recordings of his voice and everything. But I was working like a dog in order to keep that house. And I was doing this big job construction and everything, and I'm doing tile the whole basement. And we painted all the walls, and I had to cut baseboards. Right? So
Oh, wow.
tiling, I had to cut the baseboards, and I didn't want to cut them there. I wanted to cut them at home. I took all the measurements, and then with my saws set up. But I had like my shop, these big long boards. I had to have the door open. I had to go outside, flip the board around, come back in, chop it, go back out, flip it around, all these boards. So I had the whole stack all done and cut. But it made sawdust all over the place. And then with the door open, it's winter. With the door open, it had just snowed. There was snow everywhere. My sawdust is like everywhere. And I have a space heater, but it's a propane heater. And I left it on. So I came home. When I came home, I was so tired because I've been working here for like a week straight, every day, long hours to get this job done and over with, And I was like, you can taste the end of it. But I went upstairs and I was just like, oh, I'm just so tired. The spirits in my house, if they wanted to talk to me, they would make noises and bang on things or something. And I would turn the recorder on and be like, what do you want? They'd be like, well, that or that, just whatever, something stupid usually. And I'm like, I do not want to talk. Because it sounded like pans were banging down in the basement, And then I'm like, I do not want to talk. I am just so exhausted. Just leave me alone now. I'll talk to you tomorrow. I ended up falling asleep. And then I maybe like 10 minutes. But I woke up to the sounds were so flipping loud. And I go down, I grab the recorder, right? I go downstairs, stomping down the stairs like a spoiled child, like, what do you want? And then I opened the door to my workshop, and it was just about to ignite. You could see it in the air, like you could see the heater. It looked like it was just going to blow up. You know what I mean? It was just intense. So I was like, oh shit! I threw the recorder. I went running out, opened that door. I had a fan on the wall. It's like an exhaust fan, but it was screwed in because it's winter. I'm over there. I'm unscrewing it so I can turn that on. I have a leaf blower. I'm blowing all the sawdust outside, all this stuff. And then it's cold in there because I have everything's open. The fan's going, everything's cold, But I got it all situated, shut the door and everything. And I just said, thank you. You know what I mean? Thank you. Because you saved my house, which is all I had left. My dog, me and my dog. And the house, that's it. That was my main possessions. The only thing I have left in the world. That's it. So it was just like, thank you. I went upstairs. It was so quiet. You could hear a pin drop. How quiet it was. So they were content. They saved. But it's a miracle how. I liked how you referenced before the dimensions that God is. Like the creator of all the dimensions.
Mm-hmm.
That was it working together.
It's multi-dimensional support.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's exactly it. And then it's like it's things are in your life for a reason. I know this. We're alive for a reason. We survive these things for a reason. I should have been dead. I don't even countless times. I actually did come back. I should have died when the trailer truck come on the side of my car. So many things that my life has flashed in front of my face. Like, I don't know why I'm still alive. Maybe this is the reason why.
Because you haven't met me yet. Amen.
Right. You know what I mean? So this could be the reason. Or it could be something bigger, or it could be something smaller. I don't really know.
It doesn't matter. The point is there is a reason. We don't always have to understand it. We just have to know that there's a reason.
Yeah.
And just accept it 1 minute at a time. Never mind, oh my God, what I'm going to do next week? Just, what am I doing now? I'm focusing on you ladies, the people in our chat, the people who are listening out there. Just hey, one step at a time, 1 moment at a time. I'm just in the moment. All the stuff we went through. And I spell it S-A-I-T stuff. It's like all those things that we went through, all those things growing up, the stupid things that I did. Oh my God. But you know what? They have helped me in more ways than I even want to admit. Mm-hmm. And it got me where I am today.
Exactly.
Me, internet is like, hello, 5 years ago, 2011, this person was, before you, was not here. In 2012, I just kept hearing everybody go, oh my God, 2012, end of the world. It's like, no, you know what? For some reason, it kept popping in my head. It's not the end of the world like the way you think. It's the end of the world the way we know it. Things will change. And that is the year that Mama D was born.
Yeah. You don't always get what you want, but
Look what you got. Here you go.
you get what you need. Debbie says, I say that too. God has a reason for us, and we can't question why he does what he does. And that is so true.
Yeah, because we won't get the answer that we want. We may get the answer that we need. We may not like it.
Exactly.
But, it's what it's the director of the dimensions.
Yeah.
I think that one needs to be put up stitched into a thing.
I do hope that, you guys got something.
We know that somebody got some good out of this. Something came to an understanding of what's going on.
Yeah.
And to be kind to yourself. These are crazy times.
Yeah.
And, if a child was hurt, and if you had any heart or awareness, you'd comfort the child. I really recommend we all comfort the child inside of us.
Yep.
Because when we make that connection, the joy will come back. And my child was in a closet. I locked her away someplace. And I had a client come to me once who had been suicidal, and she talked about accessing her inner child. And she hid her away from the hurt and the screams. And that now she has opened the door and welcomed the child to come into her arms. That was a turning point in her life. I locked my little girl away. And recently I had a session with a grandmaster from China. And he goes, you locked your child away. How could you do such a thing? And so he made me apologize, but I've been talking to her for years. But in this apology, we actually merged together. So she's not separate from me. She's in me as me, with the innocence of a child that's curious. I don't know what the next moment's going to bring, but I do know my expectation now is it will be good. I will make it good through my thinking, my loving, my accepting, the equanimity, and always giving thanks for serendipity.
Yeah.
Because serendipity is my friend, and it brings me what I need when I need it.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody can have that friend.
Yeah, those are awesome words. Now we have on the ticker going down below, we have all her websites, drlinmorel.com, Twitter, Dr. Lin Morel, Facebook, www.facebook.com, Dr. Lin Morel, Instagram is...
My goodness, I'm all over there.
Yeah. And the thing is, all you got to do is type in Dr. Lin Morel and you will find her.
And
You'll find me. And on Facebook, it's just called Positive Joy with Dr. Lin. I only put positive things up there. And that's the joy bringer.
Yeah. And these are her books that she has now. She's going to have more.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I can't wait for love.
I'm looking for the love letters.
Yeah, the love letters are so beautiful. And the cover designer, my husband and I always collect roses, petals. And when he lost a patient, we'd stand on our balcony and he would share all the things that they taught him. And he had a poem called The 1,000-Petaled Lotus, where all the wisdoms lived on in him. So the cover is rose petals with one of his cards to me. You're the center of my garden of love, or my valley of love, or something. Love always, James. And that's inside the rose petals.
Oh.
I want an actual physical copy of that book.
That book, it should be fantastic. I cried my way through it, and it was tears of joy and the recognition of how God flew through that book. And then when we got married, we agreed that every disagreement would make us more in love than ever. And that happened right up to the day he passed. And every day he asked me if I would marry him. And the entire marriage, I said yes. And one day I said, James, I need to think about that this morning.
Yes.
And now Mama is celebrating her 33rd anniversary
today.
How accurate.
Oh, wow.
Congratulations.
As I keep saying, he's still alive, and so am I.
It's just a different form. My James is still alive.
Yeah.
And,
My Mark, yeah.
Everyone is still alive in some shape,
shape,
or
none of us
form.
go away.
Yeah, they stay in your heart. If they actually meant something, they stay in your heart.
And my Lisa, My lady, she gives me signs. She's left me
Yes, she
food in the
does.
house.
And the loving makes us more whole and larger.
Yep.
We expand when we receive our loved one's love. And
Mhm.
at some other time, I'll tell you about how I met my husband, my James. I almost
that
skipped
means
over. That's the
that's
short
right.
story.
Well, when you have that book published, when you have the love letters published, we'll have you back, and we'll start out the show with how you met him.
Oh, that would be so awesome because it's very trippy how I met him. Very trippy. It's in
Well, hey,
Soulish. If you read
yeah.
Soulish, you'll see how I met him.
Awesome.
And,
Well, hang with us for a minute. Let me end this show. Then you can.
uh-huh.
All right, so hang with us for just 1 minute. And you guys, next week, our scheduled guest has not yet confirmed wholly yet. So you might be seeing me and Mama D. Maybe we'll be pulling some
You could
cards.
do a reading. There's a couple of things up our sleeve.
Mm-hmm.
Win a
Okay,
free
so
reading, a full one. Yeah. See what happens.
we'll see y'all next week, regardless. And
Thanks,
thank you.
everybody. It was lovely to meet you all.
Aw.
Thank you again for joining us for another episode in the Fox Den. We're here every Thursday evening from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, bringing you a variety of guests, streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and our anchor venues. We would love it if you would go to our YouTube channel, The Fox Den with Gina B and Mama D, and please subscribe, share, and definitely hit the notification button to never miss a show. We'll see you all next week, and subscribers, watch for our pop-up shows as well.